Operation Epic Fury.
What if I told you that 36 years ago, Donald Trump predicted exactly what America would need to do to bring Iran to its knees? And now as president, he's about to make it happen. The Trump administration is reportedly considering a bold military move that would seize Iran's most critical asset, Kharg Island. That's the crown jewel that handles 90% of their oil exports. Now, this is not nation building. This is not a forever war. This is strategic dominance, and the mullahs in Tehran are absolutely terrified. So what does Trump know that the establishment has ignored for decades? I'm going to tell you why this matters, though, to you and your family. You see, every single time you fill up your gas tank, every time you pay your heating bill, every time you buy groceries that had to be shipped across the country, you're feeling the effects of Iranian aggression in the Strait of Hormuz. You see, the mullahs have been choking global energy markets for years, and the previous administration did nothing but send them pallets of cash and beg for a nuclear deal. But here's what's really at stake. You see, Iran is racing towards a nuclear weapon. They've been enriching uranium while Joe Biden was busy apologizing for American strength. Now, President Trump understands something that the deep state never wanted you to know. You don't negotiate with terrorists by showing weakness. You negotiate by holding their cash register. And Kharg Island is Iran's oxygen. Cut it off, and the regime that chants death to America suddenly has to decide between paying the Revolutionary Guard or keeping the lights on. See, this is about your security, your family's future, and America's entire standing in the world. And speaking of protecting your family's future, I need to ask you something very important. And what is that? Well, there's some numbers out of Washington that show that inflation is on the rise again. Another direct threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. Now ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even last year? With global tensions escalating and the possibility of military action escalating in the Middle East, what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges during times of uncertainty, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outperformed. Noble Gold Investments wants to help you protect what you've worked so hard to build. They put together a free 5-page guide to help you get started. Visit nextnewsgold.com today, and when you do, they will send you a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle with your qualifying order. That's nextnewsgold.com. Let's get back to the incredible story of American strength, because here's what the mainstream media does not want you to understand about this strategy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was just asked point blank on national television whether U.S. troops could go into Kharg Island to secure it. His answer? All options are on the table. That's not speculation, folks. That's the United States Treasury Secretary confirming what we've been telling you. And Senator Lindsey Graham, he put it perfectly when he said, we did Iwo Jima, we can do this. Let's take a look now at what they are saying. Trump is reportedly weighing a bold move. U.S. troops could seize or blockade Iran's critical Kharg Island to force the Strait of Hormuz back open. Listen.
You got to continue to degrade or decimate the regime. Ultimately, we want to strike the internal security apparatus that is keeping repression on the people. But Kharg Island will most likely be a seizure, what we call a joint forcible entry operation. And there is risk there of putting boots on the ground, but it is limited. It's not signaling a forever war. Right. It's signaling that we hold the leverage over the region and Iran's cash register, their revenue. And Charlie, as you know, in business as well as leading regimes, cash is oxygen, and that gives us significant leverage over the region to include negotiations.
And I would assume that you would say the same thing about whatever would be required to take control of that uranium.
Oh, 100%. And again, that is also a potential option on the table for limited offensive operations. A snag and grab is to get in with special operations to seize that uranium and get out as quickly as possible. That option has always been on the table for President Trump. He's not triggered that operation yet.
And I'm surprised that we haven't taken Kharg Island yet. Trump's bold move to leverage regional power through Kharg Island signals strength. Now, let's rewind 36 years and see how Trump's vision aligns with today's strategic considerations. 36 years ago, Trump said he would take Iran's Kharg Island if he was president. That was 36 years ago. Holy cow.
Just reported the Trump administration is reportedly considering occupying Iran's Kharg Island, which handles most of the country's oil exports. So would that actually break Iran's grip on the Strait of Hormuz?
Not on the Strip, if directly, but certainly it would put them in a very bad situation. 36 years ago, Trump said he would take Kharg Island if he was president. So the strategic viability of that island to the Iranian petro infrastructure is critical. So if you were to actually seize it, not just put it out of commission, but actually seize it, now you've taken the crown jewels of the IRGC's war machine. And so there is an incredible, leverage, force multiplier to do so. But in doing so, of course, you would escalate this to a boots on the ground situation, which President Trump has been hesitant to do thus far.
36 years ago, talk about consistency, right? Iran doubled its missile range. Did you hear about this? From 2,000 kilometers to 4,000 kilometers, launching 2 missiles at the U.S.-UK base in Diego Garcia. They didn't hit, but they sent a warning that its strike range can now reach Europe. This was big news just a couple days ago when the ballistic missile capability was now officially revealed when they did do that launch towards...
There it is right there. Even with that base... Still, best case is right here. So that's 2,000 kilometers. Going all the way to Garcia, that's almost 4,000.
So that was some rather startling news, which is certainly going to put NATO on notice. And now we have this. This is the Treasury Secretary speaking with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
You bring up Kharg Island. I want to ask you about your statement. You said it could become a U.S. asset. What exactly does that mean? Could U.S. troops go into Kharg Island to secure it?
Again, as I said, all options are on the table.
Okay, so that's a possibility.
All options are on the table.
All right, let me talk about...
All options are on the table. And here we have Senator Graham on invading Iran's Kharg Island. Of course, he's the biggest cheerleader in all of this.
It's been obliterated, and they're running out of money. So here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Kharg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Kharg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground? Let me just read you something from The Atlantic. Does an assessment on that. They say U.S. troops may well take Kharg Island. We believe in their ability to do so, but only to endure ballistic missile strikes, drone attacks, petrochemical smoke, all without a reliable means of obtaining logistical support. The result could be a grinding war of attrition. They talk about how far away they would be from resupply.
I'm sort of tired of all this armchair quarterbacking. This has been an amazing military operation. God bless the fallen.
But it's a difference when we talk about troops on the ground.
I trust the Marines, not that guy. I trust DOD. We got 2 Marine expeditionary units sailing to this island. We did Iwo Jima. We can do this. The Marines, my money is always on the Marines. I don't know if you take the island or you blockade the island, but I know this. The day we control that island, this regime, this terrorist regime, has been weakened. It will die on a vine. And here's what I want to do. I want to get with Chris. I want to sprint to peace. As the war winds down, I want peace to ramp up. The reason we don't have Saudi Arabia and Israel making peace is October the 7th, 2023. Iran, through Hamas, attacked Israel, stopping normalization. I want to take up and complete what Biden started. As soon as we get Iran defanged so they can never do another October 7th, I want to start up peace talks between Saudi and Israel this year. I want a peace deal between Saudi and Israel, normalizing, ending the Arab-Israeli conflict. It's been going on for 2,000 years this year, and you can't do it with a lethal Iran. So we're weeks away from this Iranian regime not having the capability to stop peace.
Okay, very quickly, though, because
Wow. A peace treaty. Iran now has 32 hours to open the Strait of Hormuz. Trump is bombing their power plants.
Hi, Kevin. That's right. The president's rhetoric is continuing to intensify on this war. His latest threat, an ultimatum on Iran. He says either reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face those powerful strikes on power plants, as we just heard Trey expand on. Now, the president posted this warning, threatening to obliterate Iran's power plants within 48 hours from this exact time point. Now, Trump posted that at 7:45 Eastern time last night, so the countdown continues to tick towards Monday night. Now, the Strait of Hormuz supplies roughly 1/5 of the world's crude oil, but has been largely limited since the conflict. Now, the president has called NATO allies cowards for not sending warships to help defend the strait. He claims because the U.S. doesn't use the strait, this should be a global effort. Now, this morning, the NATO Secretary General.
The clock is ticking. Monday night is the deadline. So here's the truth that the globalists and the Iranian apologists don't want you to see. President Trump has been right about Iran for nearly 4 decades. 36 years ago, he said America should take Kharg Island. The so-called experts laughed. The establishment mocked him. But who's laughing now? This is a man who sees the world with crystal clarity while the political class stumbles around in the dark. Taking Kharg Island isn't about starting a war, it's about ending the threat. It's about grabbing the mullahs by their revenue stream and saying, your reign of terror is over. The special operations capability exists. The strategic value is undeniable. This is America First foreign policy at its finest: maximum leverage, minimal footprint, and total victory. So, Patriots, what we're witnessing is a president who doesn't just talk about American strength, he demonstrates it. While the previous administration was busy funding Iran's terror network, President Trump is positioning America to neutralize the threat once and for all. This is why we elected him. This is why they feared his return. And this is why America is back on the world stage. So I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you support President Trump taking bold action to secure Kharg Island and cut off Iran's terror funding? Yes or no? Let me know. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure, since you got to the end of the video here, text raw feed to 844-840-4963 to have exclusive connection with Next News with me. I will send you personal text messages right to your phone. You don't have to wait for the algorithm. You don't have to wait for notifications to never come. This is a direct line, so you are the first to know. Now, share this video with every single patriot that you know, because the mainstream media will never tell you this story. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find the shelf with merch down below, and show your support for independent conservative journalism. And hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and remember, stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.